When do you think you'll have that first marker where you'll be able to determine?
We would have that by the end of the semester, if not before.
Does that worry you at all to kind of a semester in, possibly still doing a hybrid schedule by then and not really knowing where the students are at until the year's halfway over?
Well, now that assumes that, you know, sometimes we become so caught up in looking at state test scores and national test scores. You know, there was a time when you only took those kind of tests about every 2 or 3 years. They'd give them to every student in a particular grade, like the 7th grade, the 9th grade, the 11th grade, something like that. So what's kind of gotten lost in that is there's a professional in the room with them every day assessing their progress. By this time of the year, there would be few teachers that couldn't tell you in fairly great detail what their students are, what areas of strength they have, what areas of weakness they have, and where they need to work with those students. Whether that's at an elementary room covering all subjects or in the subject-specific class at the middle or the high school level. So our teachers have an idea every day how well our students are doing. Now that's not something you can publish in a report. That's not a graph that you can put out there. We have to utilize the internal devices we have, Mastery Connect or the state level testing for that purpose. Our teachers know the impact they're making. They know if there are things they need to reteach. They'll know if things are not going as well. What teachers will make every effort to do is to accomplish everything they need to accomplish in whatever amount of time they have to accomplish it. You see that if you have early dismissals for some reason, if you miss days because of inclement weather. That's always been what teachers have focused on doing. So every day in every classroom, there's a professional looking at what are our students doing, what do they need, and how well are they progressing.
So that kind of brings in my next question, kind of answers it too, but how do you gauge success in school during a pandemic? And it sounds like possibly could this change how you look at success in schools moving forward? What
I hope it would do would bring less focus on a test score, on some kind of standardized test, because most of the real world after you get out doesn't operate on a standardized test. And we began several years ago the initiative to ensure our students were college and career ready by looking at markers of success when they graduate. Now we look at the markers as a senior and when they leave us, but that builds on what they do from the time they walk in the door, whether it's pre-K or kindergarten, all the way through the system, because you have to build a foundation for that success. And we committed several years ago, we wanted our students to graduate, and when they graduate, we want them to have either college credit or an industry recognized certification, or both. That, we believe, is the true measure of success. What would be a better indicator that you're ready for college or ready for a career than you've got a transcript that says you've taken a college course and you made a C or better, because unlike college, on a dual credit, you have to make a C or better, that you've made a C or better, you've done college level work, you've gotten credit for it. Or you've made a 3 or higher on an AP exam, which would likely give you college credit in about every university in the country. Or you're holding a certificate that says that you have shown that you can weld to the appropriate level, that you are qualified for an entry-level auto technician. There is no test score that's a better exemplar of your ability to be college and career ready than the proof that you've already done it. That, I think, is where our shift needs to occur, and that's where a shift in focus needs to occur in the nation. Are we producing people as graduates who can demonstrate, not select the right answer, they can demonstrate over time that they can do that level work? And if you have credit for a class or you have that certification, that shows you've demonstrated over time, whether it's a semester or a year, that you're capable of doing that work.
And kind of changing subjects a little bit here, you've been very vocal for months now that decisions when it comes to in-person attendance should be made at the local level with local data. But we know that a resolution is being discussed in the State House right now that would mandate schools return to 5 days in person. What would the response be from you here? What would happen if that was approved?
Well, you know, we share the same goal to get to 5 days of in-person instruction. And I would not imagine that anyone wants to do that without regard to the safety and health of students and employees. So our response to that would simply be, we want to get there as well, but we only want to do it when we can reasonably assure people of their safety and their health. So what effect a resolution might have, or what response we might have should such a resolution pass, at this point would be purely speculative.
And do you have a message for parents or even students who maybe feel like there's so much politics around education this year with the pandemic, and it's an election year, possibly feeling like they're almost pawns right now, or a game piece? What would you say to parents and students who feel like that?
You know, to students, try to tune that out. Focus on what you need to do to be successful in school in whatever setting that is. And for parents, kind of the same thing. Try to tune that out. But the other thing I'd say to parents is, your child and students are going to take their lead from the adults around them. No matter its drawbacks, its concerns, your approach, whether you're the teacher, a coach, a principal, me, or a parent with children at home, your attitude and your approach is going to a great extent influence the attitude and the approach of your child. So if we can all approach it with a positive attitude, and that we're going to do the very best that we can do given the set of circumstances, I think that helps set the right tone for students and helps relieve their stress. Recognizing there are shortcomings in what we're doing, we need to know about those and we need to address those. That's not to try to paint some rosy picture that might not exist, but it's simply to try to have that attitude that we've got a set of circumstances that's beyond our control. But the part we do have control over is how we respond to those circumstances. And everywhere that we can help to create an environment for students that lets them focus on what they're doing and doesn't let us translate our stress onto them, I think that helps them in the long run.
Do you feel like education or even the district has kind of become this play piece in politics? Are you feeling that at all?
You know, we've said from the outset that the decision we make and the decisions that we make are driven by data, by science, by the recommendations of public health professionals, medical professionals, and in our state, the state agency established by state statute for public health is DHEC. We follow that guidance. Now, we obviously try to use common sense and judgment in applying the guidance and the requirements, but at the end of the day, this can't be and shouldn't be a political issue on our part. We need to make the decisions that are right, that maintain the health and safety of our students and our employees, regardless of political wrangling on either side of the issue. And, you know, while that can certainly be distracting and, you know, you're certainly going to hear a lot of that, we need to keep our focus on, we got to do what's best for our students and provide the strongest, highest quality education we can possibly provide, but doing it in a way that ensures the health and safety of everybody. And that includes not just our first or second graders or middle schoolers or high schoolers, but it includes all of our employees, a significant percentage of which are in the ages that are the most highly affected by this virus.
And I know we kind of touched on it, but just one more time, because we see this question on our social media. I know you see it on yours, but can high school parents and middle school parents be optimistic of 4 or 5 days by the end of this semester, or do you think, given all the obstacles that you discussed earlier, is that something that they're really just going to have to put on hold?
I think our elementary parents have more reason to be optimistic at this point than our middle and high school, though we'll continue to try to move forward as long as we can do it in a way that maintains those 4 corners that we talked about.
Let me think. Is there anything else you want to make sure we touch on?
I don't think so.